Hello and welcome to another episode of Power Armour Builder Reacts. For anyone new to the channel, I am building my own powered armoured exoskeleton, i.e. exosuit or power armour. And I thought I'd do this little series going over exosuits, power armour from sci-fi settings that I think have notable decent features or perhaps even notable flaws. Just as a bit of fun, as I am a fan of all of them, of course. So in this episode we'll be going over the combat suits in the Edge of Tomorrow, and then onto the Goliath power armour from the Expanse TV series. So, the combat jacket in Edge of Tomorrow. So something the combat suit from Edge of Tomorrow does really well, as it's designed to, is to blend the technologies of the future with the combat gear of today. They made sure to include some like molly pouch fittings and things like that, as well as having the main weapons on his arms actually looking like regular guns, while using technology for the suit that basically exists today, which really shows well how it could be used in the near future, with it being powered by a battery and then electronic actuators, with a mix of hydraulics for the arms and the legs. What I really like about it is it does show the bulk of what an exoskeleton is likely to be, especially if you're going to make quite a universal one to fit different people. I've been working on trying to get my design as narrow as possible so you can fit through doorways and stairways easier. But it is difficult because as soon as you start adding padding to the human body, that's like another 10mm, and then if you have any fixings, that's another 5 to 10mm. Any wiring can easily add 5mm, and then any actual structural components can add another 5. Plus the actuators themselves, so you can easily get up to just an inch in the skeleton and then the actuators on top. But they did get it to really fit well around Tom Cruise and the other actors. It never looks to be kind of hanging off their arms and the legs and everything like that. It always looks basically bulky but fit in the same place all the time. I particularly like some of the wraparound fitment and strapping for the forearms. I ended up fitting some basically sleeves that go under the armour on mine, just because I found it very difficult to get a tight fit on your wrists while allowing your arm to actually turn it around. So that and the other like strapping fitments, frankly, that are on it just look really accurate. Which makes sense, as you can see in this behind the scenes footage. We've got Tom Cruise doing Tom Cruise things. He's wearing it a lot, actually moving around in it, actually seeing what he can do with it. And I do think it's very impressive how well it fits him. Also, something else that I think is pretty accurate is the size of the ankles. You'll notice they are pretty chunky. And what I found, it's just very difficult to get the ankles small just because of the amount of mechanism that needs to be involved and how strong. When you have the ankle rotation, it's got to move left and right, and then your heel's got to come up and down. And then you need some mobility left and right on the hinge, i.e. like sway of your ankle, if you will. It's just something very difficult to make small. And then when you've got that big ankle joint, it's also very pointless to basically make it go in the lower part of your shins, just to go out again for your knee, so you may as well just have it chunky all the way up. You basically only cause yourself problems by trying to take it narrow again to then make it go out. I also quite like the forearm, hand arm grips, whatever they are. They obviously essentially double as knuckle dusters. What I really like about it is you do need something to essentially stop yourself from falling on your hands when you're wearing one of these things. Something that I'm still trying to finalise the design on for my suit. I don't particularly want something that wraps around your hands always and basically stops you from doing normal tasks. But they obviously weren't bothered about that for the look of the combat suit. And I just think it really adds to that practicality. Because again, can you imagine how mashed up your fingers would get if you fell off a ledge or something while wearing one of these suits? And then onto the weapons. Something I like about this is the fact that they have them 2 machine guns that come up off the back and over the top of the head. One, the fact that they actually come up that far, I almost think it looks a little ridiculous. I can imagine it actually being better because you'd essentially have a higher firing position. You'd have that tactical high ground, while not actually needing the operator to go up that far to get the weapon system up at that level. But mainly, I like it because when you think about the potential uses of power armour in the future and what capabilities it'd offer, it's kind of pointless to just stick with regular guns that we've got now. You may as well almost go down the aircraft route where you still have a gun, but then you can also have things like shoulder or back launched missiles, rockets, maybe even fast attack drones, because that way you can essentially apply a skillless, high end of technology targeting system that allow you to hit targets at range pretty much on the first shot. And if you think about, say, someone has to carry a sniper rifle like an M82 Barrett, there's got to be a spotter, there's got to be a big gun, incredibly well trained, skilled, all of that, and you can still only shoot, like a mile or so in a perfectly straight line. Or you have to go down the route of having a javelin, which is bulkier still. But if you are developing power armour, you can essentially put all of that targeting system and those optics into the suit itself, and you could literally just have basically like mini cruise missile drones in tubes on your back that just launch straight from your back. to hit whatever target you desire. And some of you are probably thinking, well, yeah, we've kind of got that type of thing already now. Which is the point, because if you're using these exosuits, you can basically bring all of that technology into one and just kind of integrate it into a suit, which is basically what they've done here with the combat jacket in Edge of Tomorrow. Final thing that I'll bring up though that I don't like is the fact that they don't really have much armour, and it kind of makes the whole thing a little bit pointless. Not completely pointless, it's still great, but I don't see why they all don't have armour. Now I know in the setting some are more lightly armoured than others, or there are some basically heavily armoured variants that move a bit slower, etc. But one of the main threats and injuries that soldiers have always faced since the dawn of inception of these things is shrapnel from things like shells now, or way back when cannon fire. Those medium to low velocity fragments that can just cause massive injuries, tear up the skin, pierce organs, damage sensors like eyesight, hearing, etc., and basically very easily take a soldier out of the fight. So when you've got this massive opportunity with an exosuit like this to put armour on it, why wouldn't you put armour on it? Why wouldn't you cover the wearer up as much as possible just to reduce that issue? And also, if you were to get a shrapnel wound in one of these exoskeletons, it's going to be very difficult for them to get it off you. And something I want to do on my next prototype is basically have blood stop pouches all in the inside of the armour plating to help offset that issue. But if you literally just have an exoskeleton as your exosuit, you can't really try those methods to help prevent those injuries either. But with that being said, I still think it's a great design. They did a fantastic job of making them for the film and the prototypes and all of that, which really added to making a great film. And onto the fantastic Goliath power armour from the equally fantastic TV series The Expanse. I do think these suits look absolutely awesome, and something I actually like about them is they've blatantly and obviously designed them as spacesuits first, and then essentially made them powered armour over the top, which differs to a lot of TV series and a lot of different exosuits from varying sci-fi genres like Warhammer 40,000, where really it's a battlesuit for the ground that is then perhaps sealed for use in the vacuum space or poisonous environments. As a result, it basically looks like a SpaceX spacesuit with armour over the top of it, which gives me great wonder for what can be in the future walking on Mars. Now, in the future of the setting, the MCRN does use a future technology that basically makes the undersuit of the suit the power actuator, so it's basically got kind of electronic fabric muscles built into the suit. That way you don't have any big actuators on the joints, unlike the combat jacket from Edge of Tomorrow, which does make this suit look very sleek, and to me, especially when you're talking about this being a future setting, more realistic, because you're not going to want a really wide bulky suit if you're going to use it in space going through different spaceships which could just have basically smaller doorways. You also have a great built-in targeting system with a heads-up display into the helmet, so it's all printed on the visor similar to a Halo suit. One thing I guess to note, being relative to it being a TV series, is they've kind of got to have a see-through open face visor, because if they don't, they basically can't act through the visor. You can't see the facial features of the actors and things, so they kind of have to have this kind of backlit full face visor. But they make an excellent job of fitting that into the actual design of the armour of the suit to give it as much realism as possible. I also like how the pauldrons fit nice and neatly over the arms. Again, not being too bulky. It does, however, suffer from a typical thing that a lot of the sci-fi suits have, and that is a chest plate that's basically too wide. I.e., if it goes to the delts of the shoulders, when you put your arms out and then bring your arms in, the chest plate will basically stop you from bringing your arms in, you'll stop about there, which basically means you can't cross your arms, which is a problem for a lot of like little everyday tasks that we tend to do. From the combat perspective, they do kind of get away with that with having the gun mounted under the forearm. However, again, it is a spacesuit, so you'd expect it to be used on the spaceships where you've got fiddlier tasks, which honestly, that chest plate just makes it impossible. My chest plate is very narrow. For this reason, I kept having to cut it down and cut it down and cut it down until I had enough movement. Problem is, for a TV show, it just doesn't quite look as cool when you do that, but anyway. And my only other little quibbles is, I don't know about any of you guys, but the rotary cannon looks a little bit small under her arm. But meh, it's a future, can live with it. And a feature that I really like, which also relates to what I said earlier about the combat jackets, is it does have those little backpack launch missiles, which make a ton of sense, especially on a spacesuit where they don't really need much launching power. My only little quibble, I guess, on this is they look really small, like where they come from. It looks like it needs to be a TARDIS inside to actually house the little missiles in, but other than that, I think it's great. I like how well they've been able to portray it with this kind of semi-robotic movement as well, and how not only does it have mag boots like the rest of the people in the show typically have on, but it also has mag hands. Again, quite an individual feature that you don't really see in many sci-fi settings, because again, they're not usually made as spacesuits first. So yeah, two great exosuits that are also on the opposite ends of the spectrum of power armour / exoskeletons. We've got the bulky near future exosuit of the Edge of Tomorrow, and then the more far future streamlined full spacesuit power armour of the Goliath power armour of the MCRN. So if you like the video and want to see more of the actual power armour design, please like and subscribe. There's more videos coming very soon, particularly on more of the actual power and the electronics of it. To anyone who's watched my previous videos, I'm still finishing my actuator design. I'm on about version 6 or 7 maybe, something like that. But I am getting closer to essentially a fully DIY robotic actuator with steel gears, an SMC stator core, all of which will cost around, I think, £60 per actuator to do. Of which I'll be putting the designs on Patreon when they are done. With all that being said, have a great day and I hope to see you in the next video.